On January 12th of 1915, the U.S. Congress established the Rocky Mountain National Park.
Of course it's upside down. Why wouldn't it be? Ooh, buddy, look at that. So it's interesting. It's got the RocHobby logo here on the actual box, but then there's also an FMS sticker, which is actually a really dope sticker. Kind of would have rather just them included the sticker on a sticker sheet. That's a cool sticker. I wonder if we can get it off. Very cool truck, though. This thing is going to be so awesome. This is the Ridge Racer U4. It's a 1/7 scale off-road desert buggy. Now, this is the same as the Yikong TB7, but now it's all officially licensed. You can see there's the Ford sticker there. It's Ford licensed, which is awesome. Now, the interesting thing is it doesn't come with all the same stickers as the Yikong one, but I think that's a big part due to the Yikong not being licensed with all the stickers they use. So they had a whole bunch of Fun Haver stickers, and they're not licensed. So my guess is that FMS, trying to be on the up and up and make sure everything is properly licensed, was not able to include all those same stickers. So I'm just going to flip through the box here to show you real quick. You can always pause if you want to read, but there's the front and the back, all the different features. Got the red and the blue. Looks like we got the blue. Unfortunately, our channel colors are red and black. Come on, guys. There's an awesome beauty shot. And then let's check out the back. Boom. Now, there's not any information on here, but some awesome pictures. Let's get it open so we can actually look at this thing. Funny enough, the insert foam still says TB7. So let's explain what's going on there. Basically, FMS decided they wanted to acquire this truck because they were able to acquire the licensing from Ford for this body in this truck. So FMS reached out to Yikong and said, hey, we'd like to acquire your truck, get it sold in the United States, because Yikong had a very difficult time being able to sell this thing in the United States being non-licensed. And so FMS stepped in and said, hey, we're going to go ahead and get that license and take it over and get this truck out to the masses. So very cool that now we're going to have actual accessibility to these. Let's get this off. And even more exciting for existing Yikong TB7 owners, now we're going to have accessibility to aftermarket parts, or upgrade parts, replacement parts, things of that nature. So that should be very cool. I'm excited to see FMS snag this guy up and be able to bring some support to the US for it, because it is a very cool truck. I've seen a lot of videos on the original from Yikong, and yeah, I am excited to show you guys this thing. And I know it's not a mini RC like we're typically used to, but man, this thing is cool. Also, it's now a little cheaper than the Yikong was, so that's something also to keep in mind. If this is something you were looking for or looking at before and shipping was killing you or you weren't able to find it, now is definitely the time to be able to jump on this guy. Man, look at that suspension. That's awesome. So here's our transmitter that comes with. It's a very basic RTR transmitter. I wish there was kind of a foam wheel, but it is what it is. We've got our channel 3 and 4 up here. Also, all the trims in here. There's a channel 5, some dip switches. It does run on 4 AAAs, or you can run a 2S LiPo in there. So I dig that. I like when RTRs include the ability to run a LiPo battery. Just makes things so much easier. Here's some of that sticker sheet that's included. Again, I think a lot of it had to do with licensing. And then we've got our included goodies. Looks like we got some extra goodies there. Maybe a servo horn, some hex wrenches, some grub screws, link ends. Then like an antenna cover there, I think. Yeah. Tie rods. Very cool. These tires are gnarly. They're sitting right at 2.2 inches on the front. And then the diameter of the tire looks like we're right around 5.7 inches. However, the insides, what you can see here, they're much larger diameter. So they're not just your normal 2.2 inch wheels. They've got to have a bunch of clearance in there. Looks like we're right around 80 millimeters in there. which is 3.1 inches. Yeah, need a lot of clearance for sure. And we're going to go ahead and take this off and give it a good look in here, but for now we're just doing the overview, just kind of checking it out. And these guys pull out, and then we can open her up. And there we go. Now our rear torsion bar is attached to the body, and our lights, so your body's not going to come completely off without removing the sway bar or torsion bar here, but it does at least get you open. You also have limiting straps for that crazy dropout on the suspension. Those are attached to the chassis as well, or the tube frame of the body, not really the chassis, which is kind of interesting. I would have thought that might have been a better design to have your chassis actually extended and then these things connected still to the actual chassis itself. But I guess in this situation, they felt like it was better to attach it to the tube portion of the body, the tube frame. We do have an actual spare in here, which is super cool. And then look at these shocks. Those are gnarly. So we've got an actual shock and spring here, and then just kind of a dampener or damper here. So we're gonna go ahead and remove these. You can either use the grub screw here to kind of slide these off, or you can take them off here, but then you gotta have access through the tire. Or you can pull the two screws here, or you can just, this is just a ball joint, plastic ball joint. You should be able to just pop this guy off, no problem. Just give it a little twist, that'll come right off. And then as far as this is concerned, you can either unscrew it here or here on the limiting strap. We're just gonna go ahead and pop it off right here. There's also two mounts there, so that's cool that you can adjust the limiting strap. Looks like it's currently attached to the topmost mount, but you could attach it to the lower one, get more dropout. So super simple in being able to remove the entire body. I definitely dig that. Loving that there's a light bar here. It's always cool to have just a little bit of that scale detail on something like this, the light bars or rock lights or, you know, whatever. Rear lights, we'll probably get one of those rear lights, go right here, just because it looks so cool. But yeah, very easy to get that on and off if you want to take it off all the way. There we go. There she is in all her glory, set up for dual batteries. We did pick up some batteries. We have some Gens Ace, both some 3S, so two 3S batteries. Boom, some 5300s. These should be perfect in there. We're going to show those off. We'll probably do another video kind of talking about these and the charger. We've got the smart charger that you want to use with these guys. So that'll be very cool. These things should fit in here perfect. Let's look real quick. All right, looks like we could have gone a little longer here. There's actually a good amount of space up here in the front. There is some foam back here, so if you really want to get a big pack in there, you can remove it. Just be aware that you're kind of limited in height by this rear link. You can kind of see right there, that rear link's going to limit your height. And then go like this. So it'll butt right up against this link mount, but then there's nothing in the front holding it completely in. I was hoping these were just a little bit more narrow. And you can still strap these in like so. And these will work. Just want to make sure they're not going to fall out the front. Let's try the 6S that we got. Look at this beast. 6800 6S. Oh no, this link. All right, this big guy, not going to fit. We were really hoping it would, but these two, we can get them to fit. Again, I just kind of wish they were half an inch thinner, you know, from this way, just to make sure that this was actually inside the tray a little better. And I'll show you. We put one in this way. There's some space up in here, and that gets our wires coming out the back here. And then the second one we'll put facing the opposite direction. Have your strap go under, and then you bring your strap back over, and it should be good here. And then you can see this guy just barely kind of fits under this chassis part here. But if it were just a little thinner, if the whole battery was just a ½ inch thinner, a couple millimeters, it would actually drop down into the actual battery tray. All right, should be decent. We could always try to create sort of a mount or a space block in there, but maybe just go with slightly thinner batteries. That'll get you a lot safer, more secure strapping. Plus, like I said, you can remove this rear bit here, and that'll bring you a lot longer, so you can use a longer battery. And we'll measure this out for you. So I tried looking through the manual. It's pretty detailed, but it doesn't have any specs on the actual dimensions of the battery tray. So I figured I'd measure it out. Now I did look online and I found some chart, I think it's from the Yikong, but it said it was 139 by 46 wide by 38.5 tall. When I measured this out, it's a little bit more than that, especially if you remove this foam in the back here. We actually get to like 180, 181 in total length if you remove the foam that's in the back. And then we're looking at 46 to 47 wide. Again, the tray kind of flexes a little, but 46 is definitely safe. These batteries, and they fit perfect. Just a little bit, a tiny bit of play in there, which is good. And these are 46, 47, so you can do 47. And then the height, we're looking at, depending on how far back you go, we're looking at right around 55. When I went in here and I measured, you can get 55-ish up to this link mount here. If you go up to that, but then you're not going all the way to the back, because what happens is this link drops down. So you go down a little bit. So you're going to lose a little bit of space there. And when I tried to kind of measure back here, we were looking right about 45-ish, maybe 46. So 47 wide, 46 tall max. You can go a little taller here if you don't go all the way as long. The length to the styrofoam, that guy's going to be just over 155-ish. Maybe 160 with the foam, depending on how smashed your foam gets. But yeah, so these 3S's are going to work. There's some 2S's that they have if you wanted to run 4S on this guy. They come with this plug Genzace has, and they are much shorter. They're like 24 millimeters tall. So instead of being 35, they're going to be right about here. And so you're definitely going to sit below the battery tray, and that'll be a little bit more secure. But then you're running on 4S, like I said, versus the 6S. And then I'm sure there's a lot more options if you wanted to put your own plug on there and whatnot. It does come with the splitter here to run two basically saddle packs. If you want to run a single 1S battery, you're going to have to, bridge this gap here or redo your wiring so that you can run a single 6S. Because obviously you can't just run a single 6S plugged into here because you don't have a closed circuit. It's not gonna be connecting. So you can make an adapter that connects that, or just redo your wires completely for a single 6S or 4S, depending on how you want to run. But yeah, we're gonna be able to run this guy on 2 3S's. Should be pretty good. Running on 6S, again, my only concern is that these are a little tall and we might slide out. But once you're kind of in there and tight, and I almost wonder if I removed this foam in the back and let this slide even further back, then I can tighten this guy down pretty good on the front, on the top battery, and it'll almost kind of tuck in right here. So I think we'll be okay. I'm not too worried about it. Plus, we're not going to bash this guy like a basher. It's not really, it's a scale race truck. It's not really meant for, jumping off huge ramps in the skate park and whatnot. I mean, you could, but that's not really what it's for. It's more for like ripping around a track, right? Hitting some nice big jumps on a track, trying to land flat, not just trying to get 40 feet of air. Okay, let's keep looking at this guy though. Got our electronics here. This guy is 150 amp Max 8. It's the WP Max 8 RTR. You can see it on there. And this beastly motor back here. Look at that guy. It's a 1600 kV 4274 4-pole brushless motor. And then we got everything inside of our little receiver box here. We do not have a rubber gasket on our receiver box. You could, kind of put a little rubber gasket in here and whatnot, but it's still not going to be completely sealed. So just keep that in mind. We do have a bunch of channels on here. This one should have the gyro built in, pretty sure. And that's what the channel 5 here is for adjusting your gyro. So we'll see when we get it powered up. Make sure we got that going on. What else we got here? We got our big old servo down in there. That's basically going to be your jumbo-sized Servo 30 kilogram all Metal Gear Servo. It's the G&M Racing G9035 is what it says up on there. That's the Yikong servo, basically. Another thing, these are Hobby Wing. This is a Hobby Wing motor and ESC. It's the Max 8, so that's freaking awesome. And we do have a light bar on the front, so awesome. And a little faux winch, little fake winch there, which is cool. And then another front torsion bar here. Digging that. Yeah, definitely beefy, definitely beefy. I want to go ahead and compare this thing in size to some of the stuff we have. So here we have an Armacentin. They're not too far off as far as length. I mean, it's still definitely a bigger truck for sure. They're so big, it's hard for me to show you. My space isn't really set up for the large scale stuff, but that's okay. It's very, very cool. You can see the tire size difference there. Yeah, buddy. Our poor setting's broken right now. Look at that. Oh no, floppy wheel. And it needs new tires. Real bad. But there's a Sentin. Here's an axial base camp. So you can see there, pretty good difference inside there, obviously. Yeah. And we've got our low-C NASCAR, little guy. She can ride on the back here. Huge difference there. And we've got an SEX 24. Let's go. Look at that little guy. The tires are bigger. That's hilarious. All right. And then the closest thing we've got to something like this is our Rift. Our busted Rift, by the way. Got some dangly parts here, but that's going to be pretty close. Well, let's see. Yeah, right about there. So our wheelbase lengths are almost the same. You can see it's very, very close. Track width, though, let's see here. It's so hard. It's so big. Yeah, the Ridge Racer is going to be almost a whole tire width wider. So, yeah. Yep. It's a big boy. That's for sure. That's a big boy. All right, we got batteries up in our remote. Transmitter's all good to go. Got our battery set up here. You can see we removed the styrofoam or foam in the back, so we can slide the battery all the way back, which kind of lets this one push down just a little bit, not much, but enough to where it's sitting on this brace. The front is pushed up against the brace, so this is not coming out. I mean, we'd have to have a pretty gnarly wreck, I think, for that guy to come out. So I think we're good there. Go ahead and plug this in. Pop there. All right, transmitter's on. I have it sitting up off of the table just in case with something this big, if the trims are off or something weird is going on and the first time we turn it on, it just bolts off the table. At least it's up on a thing, so that won't happen. All right. Oh man, that's going to be rowdy. Yeah, that's no joke. That's no joke. We have some ballooning going on there. Curious if that gyro is going to do much here. There we go. Yeah, you can see it. A little bit of gyro. So it's turned down pretty far. We can go and crank that guy all the way up just to see. Oh yeah, huge. Put it back down. It was practically about 30%, I think. Maybe 40. And then our steering dual rate. Let's see here. Our steering trim, bottom one's dual rate. I think it was pretty much cranked up. Just want to make sure you're not putting too much strain on your servo. So we'll just kind of make sure that the servo is moving far enough, but not so far that the actual servo horn is not moving anymore. So we'll max out our steering, turn our dual rate up until it basically stops turning anymore. And the servo seems like it's still got room, but we'll stop right there. May have to look at endpoints, but I think we're good. Can always mess with it more later. So, yeah. All right, cool. All right. Get this nut off. It's 8 millimeters. Get that tire off. There she is. Wheel hex. That's pretty tight, so I'm gonna have to use some pliers to get that guy off. There we go. Hex pin, axle shaft pin. And there's our axle. 2.5 millimeter pin. The actual axle, 6 millimeters. Let's go ahead and open this guy up and pull it out. That guy does not want to come out. Let's go ahead and open up this side of the axle, I guess. So we do need to remove this link. Got our link off, and our last screw out of this axle housing here, and there we go. Super simple. Looks like we actually just have dog bones in the back here. Cool, cool. Guess while we were measuring all this stuff, we should measure 5 millimeter. So it's actually 5 millimeters. This part is 6, but the actual shaft itself is at 5. So if it's going to break, it's going to break probably at a 5 millimeter spot. Although this, being thinned out by the pin, could potentially break there as well, obviously. All right. These links, we're at 6 millimeters there. This drive shaft, it's like we're 5.5 there. Yeah, 5.5 on the actual drive shaft. Hell, let's do our shocks. 3.5 on the shocks. Yeah, 3.5 on the shocks. All right. Now I'd like to open up this diff. Just kind of see. I mean, you can tell it's greased in there, but kind of want to open it up and look at it. The diff is pretty simple, just the 4 screws here, and then you'll have to remove a screw from the brace here, your upper link mount, your truss, and then this guy will just pull right apart. Ta-da! We can even pull this guy out, and there we have it. There's our diff. Looks like we could use a little bit more grease. I don't know. I like my stuff pretty greased up. It's greased, though, for sure, but I usually put quite a bit of grease in there. But yeah. There you go. And this guy is a dog bone as well. I'm pretty sure the fronts are CVDs, so we'll have to check that out. Let me go ahead and get this guy back together, get it greased up, and we'll move on. So I'm sure you saw me pull the little rubber boot off here. Just know if you're going to do that, it's kind of a real pain to get it back on. There's a C-clip inside that's kind of holding the rubber boot up against the bearing, and you have to basically be able to tuck the boot around that C-clip back in. So it's just kind of a pain in the butt to get that part back together. So if you don't have to pull this apart, I would recommend not. You know, it's a dog bone in there. There's no grease or anything that needs to be in there. You should be fine. So just keep that in mind. I wanted to let you know. All right. Like I said, we're going to grease this guy back up. The inside of the diff feels fine. I guess we could open it up. Let's open up the diff. There we go. Some nice thick diff fluid in there. Totally full. I dig that. We do have a gasket, it looks like. Yeah, there's a gasket there. So that's good. That's good. That's exactly how we want it. should not leak. Yeah. I am thoroughly impressed so far. Now, I've heard of some people wanting to lock the diffs on these things, whether they lock the front or the rear, or depends on how you're driving it and what you're doing with it. You know, a lot of people lock the diffs on their riffs and the rock bouncers and whatnot. I don't know if you want to do that here, but you could. And some of the ways to do that is to just, you know, super heavy silicone earplugs can work in there. The silicone earplugs, super heavy silicone or silicone earplugs can work in there. Just also be aware there's a shim there. I don't know if you saw that guy there. But yeah, just a lot of different ways to lock it up. It would be nice if they just manufactured an actual spool. I know I've seen a couple people in the groups ask, you know, if anybody knew if there were any locked spools for these guys. So that might be something cool as an aftermarket part if FMS or RocHobby really wants to get in there and get some cool stuff going. Yeah, I'm going to get this guy back together and we'll continue. Got that Enjoy diff grease. Get that going on here. And we're just going to dip this guy in here. Get a little grease up in here. Yeah, there we go. I never measured the hubs for you. And the hubs are right there at 17 millimeters? Yeah, 17 millimeters. And there's a good look at those front CVDs. Steering angle's pretty good on this guy. And they seem pretty beefy, so we'll see how they hold up. I hadn't read or heard anything about them having issues, so that's a good thing for sure. Just want to make sure I show you guys. This thing does have a center diff as well, so you've got your front, rear, and center diff. They're all open diffs. Here's the exploded view. We're not going to go into that guy, but all the internals are the same on your front, rear, and center diffs. Everything's the exact same. Obviously, your center diff's a little different because you have your spur gear here, so it doesn't have like your ring and pinion style gear, but a full spur gear. But other than that, and the housing, everything on the inside, all the parts are going to be all the same, interchangeable parts. So that's good. Again, even more of a reason why I feel like FMS should release just kind of a spool locker that you can drop in there. I don't know if the like Rift spool lockers would fit. Or they wouldn't. I don't think they would at all. Actually, now that I think about it. Either way, I don't know if anybody does know of a spool locker or diff locker that you can throw into these guys, replacing your planetary gears and this main gear here with just kind of a solid piece. Put it down in the comments below. It'd be good for people to know if anybody knew of one that did work in here. But as far as I know, there isn't one. Hopefully FMS comes out with something, because it would be cool to get some ability to lock stuff up on this guy. The exploded diagrams are really good on this, so if you need to look anything up, you can always look it in your manual, and if you don't own one yet, you can probably find this online in a PDF. I also want to show that there is a servo saver in here. You can kind of see it working. And you can adjust that and tighten it right here if you wanted to. So yeah, this bulkhead and shock tower seems super stout, super beefy, so that's good. Again, I haven't heard much about weak points in this guy, so definitely seems like it's going to be a solid platform, and I hope there's more support for it, because it seems like it's going to be a really cool truck. Now we just got to go drive it and see how it feels, because that's really what it comes down to, right? Is it fun? So I'm thinking this guy's going to be, but let's go find out. Alrighty guys, let's go ahead and do a speed run first. Go ahead and start this guy. We'll just do a quick run up and down the street and see how we're doing. Yikes. All right, let's see what we got. Stop, read, 47. Now again, we don't have the most space, so it's kind of scary. I don't want to hit any other cars, but yeah, we'll do one more run and then we'll see what else we can do. Oh no, hit our phone. Let's see what we got. $47 again. Yeah, 47 on both. I think if we had a little bit more space and I could just kind of keep it pinned for just a little longer, we might hit 48, 49.
Yo, it's the Ridge Runner, king of the trail. RocHobby beast, unable to fail. 1/7 scale, it's an Ultra 4 Bronco. Crawling over rocks, hitting dirt like a cyclone. Independent front, solid axle in the back. Lock divs, keep it tight on attack. FMS precision, yeah, you know we the truth. Grip the terrain like it's made for abuse. Throw wide open, hear that motor scream. Suspension on point, living the dream. Climbing up cliffs, tearing down the sand. Ridge Runner power in the palm of my hand. Oh, it's a Ridge Runner's time to fly. Through the dirt, the dust, and the open sky. Feel the power, hear the roar, don't look back. This Bronco's built to conquer every track. Desert warrior, it's a beast on the loose. Brushless powertrain, ain't no excuse. Metal geared servos crushing the pack. RC royalty, this rig's got your back. From the rocks to the mud, leave the comp in the dust. 4-link, we're set up with shocks that we trust. LED lights blaze, taking on the night. Every trail's a stage, every run's a fight. Bred for the challenge, made for the grind. 1/7 scale dominance, blowing your mind. Whether it's crawl or speed, it's a titan unseen. RocHobby Ridge Runner, RC supreme. Oh, it's a Ridge Runner's time to fly. Through the dirt, the dust, and the open sky. Feel the power, hear the roar, don't look back. This Bronco's built to conquer every track. Hit the throttle, feel the torque twist. Every obstacle falls to this. King of the Ultra 4, it reigns supreme. FMS and ROC, living the dream. No hill too high, no trail too steep. Ridge Runner's legacy runs deep. It's a movement, a vibe, the Bronco way. RC life 4x4 every day. Oh, it's the Ridge Runner's time to fly. Through the dirt, the dust, and the open sky. Feel the power, hear the roar, don't look back. This Bronco's built to conquer every track. Ridge Runner pride, yeah, take the crown. This Bronco's unstoppable, no holding it down. Through the dirt, the dust, and the open sky. Ridge Runner, forever, it will never die. Ridge Runner pride, yeah, take the crown. This Bronco's unstoppable, no holding it down. Through the dirt, the dust, and the open sky. Ridge Runner, forever, it will never die.
Oh no. So I think that was it. We pushed it to the limits. Our sway bar popped off. Again, I think there's a fix for this so that the sway bar doesn't move side to side. We'll look at that. It's a 3D printed part. Basically just takes up the slop on the sides here. And that'll help kind of stabilize that a little better And then, let's see, our rod pulled right out of that one, so we needed to, I guess, double check our tightness on our grub screw there. But this pulled right through the axle. Now, to be fair, I was hitting some jumps pretty hard, pretty high, a lot higher and harder than you probably should with this truck. Again, it's not a basher, guys. It's not a Creighton. It's not an X-Max. Like, it's a trailing arm truck. It's meant for some rock bouncing, some really fun dirt track stuff, some jumps. But again, you need to land the jumps, and clearly I did not land the jumps well. I landed really hard coming up and making a huge jump, and landed right on another jump at the top, right on the apex of a jump. And I mean, that's what's going to happen. So I don't blame this on the truck at all, honestly. I hit it really hard multiple times right there. Everything else, I mean, I banged the front end too, but I think the front end's a little bit more robust just in the design and how it's set up. We have no problems there, but yeah, we pulled the screw right through the axle there. Rough. I think that might have been in part because our sway bar completely blew. So it probably blew the sway bar and caused the whole axle to kind of shift. And yep, that's what happened. So we'll have to look at getting this guy fixed. But we got some 3D printed stuff we're gonna do, something to cover up the front here, so that way we don't get dirt up in there. Also a diff guard in the center, and then these sway bar guys. So we'll show that in another video when we fix this guy. All right, guys. Well, we're back on the bench. This thing, it's a blast. Like, I can't say enough about it. It is too much fun. I mean, I can't believe they are even able to bring the price down, which is absolutely wild to me. I guess when you don't have to have the shipping and all that kind of stuff, it definitely helps bring the price down a lot. These are warehoused here in the US now, so it's going to be super easy to get. Also, our replacement parts for like our axle housing should be easy to get. No problems there. And yeah, it's a beast for sure. The breakage that we had, I'm going to be honest, it was me. Like, it's not the truck. It wasn't supposed to be driven like that. I like to kind of push stuff a little bit to the limits when I can, just to see kind of what they can take, especially when it comes to something that's pseudo basher. But again, I wouldn't call this a basher. It's a rock racer. It's an Ultra 4 truck. It's meant for dirt tracks, which is what we were doing. But then, you know, when I see the big jumps, I just kind of had to try. And I'm not the best driver. One thing I did notice, the air control on this guy, it's really good as far as throttle and letting off the throttle. You can control it pretty good, but if you brake, the brakes are super, super touchy. So maybe I have to tune that down. But when we were in the air, I barely just tapped the brake real quick and it would tip forward. So, and maybe that's just my driving. I don't drive big bashers a lot. So, you know, that could just be that. But we did nosedive a lot. And so, that being said, I mean, we banged the hell out of this front end. We were smashing it pretty hard and no issues. These A-arms are beefy, super beefy. Like I said, the rear axle where we broke, I think it had a lot to do with our sway bar popping probably at the same time. Also, we landed really hard, right? I mean, the video doesn't actually show how exactly we landed because I was kind of out of frame when it happened. But, I mean, the way we landed on the rear axle was pretty gnarly. So, and we did it a couple times, honestly. Again, I'm not the best basher driver yet because I don't have any big scale bashers. This is the largest guy I've got now as far as bashers other than the Rift. And again, the Rift isn't a basher either. So the Rift probably would have broken. And actually, I've broken so many link ends on the Rift. It's ridiculous. The link ends always are breaking on that guy. You saw it in the video. Like, I'm like, here's my Rift. It's got floppy parts. So it is what it is when you're pushing them real hard. It's a shame that it broke on the axle housing versus the link. I'd much rather have seen the drag link break or the trailing arm. Drag link. But yeah, that kind of makes me sad, but we did it very, very hard. It would be nice to have that weak point be on the trailing arm though versus the actual axle housing, because you can't replace just the link mount. It's not a separate piece. It's part of the entire axle housing. So we'll have to look at that. At least the sides are separated though. So, you know, if you have you just need to replace one side of the axle housing, you have to replace the whole axle housing, which is awesome because you have the left side, the right side, and the center left and right. So it's actually 4 pieces. So that's pretty cool, which means it's going to be cheap. It's just a matter of getting the parts, which now we have super easy access to the parts. So I'm excited for that. I'm definitely going to get this guy back up and running ASAP. I want to go run it some more. I want to show it off some more. This truck is just too much fun. Absolute beast on 6S. Like, It's got so much power. I let somebody else drive it while I was out there, and they were like, wow, they're out there running Creightons. So he loved it. He absolutely loved it. Cool truck for sure. Plus, again, the scale looks, the lights, like, again, if it were just a basher, you wouldn't have all the scale. It would be much more just kind of built for strength, like straight up strength, right? Like not really for looks. Whereas this guy, even the axles, they're pretty scale looking for the most part. So I get it. Awesome truck though. What else? Did I mention the batteries? The Gens Ace batteries were killing it. These guys are freaking awesome. Like I said, they fit almost perfect. Once we get our front kind of mud guards here, like I said, we're going to get some 3D printed parts here, and I'll put a link down in the description to that stuff now, so if you want to check it out if you've got one. But there's some mud guards that go up in here. Those will definitely keep the batteries from even remotely coming out. However, we didn't have any issues with them as it was, so you can get it down tight enough. It does fit snug right behind this kind of brace right here. It's just right there on the edge, so I mean, if you took some really hard hits, maybe it would start to, if your Velcro loosened up, you weren't tight enough, maybe it would slide out the front. But once we've got the those mud guards in there to help keep the inside clean. You can see we're pretty dirty. We didn't run it very long. We didn't even get through the whole pack. We kind of ran basically half a pack. But again, I was pushing it hard out the gate, so it is what it is. But yeah, that'll help keep mud and dirt out, which will be nice, but also keep the battery in. And then we also have a diff cover right here. The diff is kind of exposed, and if you're really going through a lot of rocks, you can sometimes get rocks or sand in there from what I've seen. So that diff cover will kind of help keep that from rocks and stuff from going in there. And then the last part, like I said, is on the sway bar, which is on the body here, and it slides back and forth a little bit. There's a little bit of play in there, which does cause the links to pop out of the little ball joints quite often. These guys right here, your links will pop out of those just because it slides side to side so often. So it'll help kind of brace that up. And I think that's maybe what happened here is we popped the link out, and we might have even popped one out. I didn't know. Just because it's handled so good always. It handled great all the way up until we had the drive shaft pop out. But yeah, so for all I know, it popped one out, and then I just smashed it one more time, and it had too much movement in the axle, so it broke. It ripped the link right out of the axle housing. I don't know. It is what it is. But yeah, so we'll go ahead and get this guy fixed. Definitely check out those 3D printed parts. We're going to do a video on that. So on that note, make sure you like, subscribe, share, and hit that notification bell. That way you know when new videos go live, and you can follow up on our journey with this guy. Also, I want to make a huge shout out and huge thanks to our channel members, these guys here. They all get to see videos early before anybody else without ads. They also get priority replies in the comments. They also have a special channel in our Discord that's strictly for members only. But if you want to join our Discord, you can. Down in the description below, we have a link to the Discord. We'll also have a link to this guy and our Gens Ace batteries and the charger that we use from Gens Ace. All that stuff will be down in the description below. You can definitely check it out. But yeah, check out our Discord if you want to chat it up. And if you want to help support the channel, being a channel member is a huge help as well. At the very minimum, at least hit that subscribe button so that you know when new videos come out. All right, guys, I appreciate you watching. I appreciate your time. I know time is our most valuable asset, so thank you for spending it with me. Get out there and build something awesome. Build a car, build a course, build a community, and then smash it, crash it, and bash it, but don't break the expensive parts. Peace.
Oh, it's a ridge run, it's time to fly through the dirt, the dust, and the open sky. Feel the power, hear the roar, don't look back. This Bronco's built to conquer every track.